It's time for them to learn the truth. Come with me.
I get those goosebumps every time.
Whoa! Oh my god, we need to talk.
Why does James smell like watermelon Jolly Ranchers?
I was just gonna say.
The new Goosebumps TV show just came out today on Disney Plus, and I believe for a limited time on Hulu as well. And I just watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm going to discuss them here. This isn't going to be a review of the whole season. This is just going to be a review, again, of the first 2 episodes, because if you're anything like me, you want to know that a show is worth watching from the beginning. When I sit down to watch a show, I don't want to go in with the promise that it gets good eventually. I want a show to be good from the start if I'm gonna dedicate 10 hours of my life to it. I was honestly kind of excited for this TV show because I grew up reading the Goosebumps books, as I'm sure many of you did. I really liked the old school Goosebumps TV show, and I liked Justin Long a lot, and I thought that Goosebumps on Disney Plus, I thought it was going to be a pair up that made sense. So I'm going to talk about it in more detail here. It is going to be spoiler free though. But before I do that, you should consider subscribing. I talk about TV shows all the time on this page. Just yesterday, I released a review for The Fall of the House of Usher. I also talk about movies. I talk about survival horror video games, and I do trailer reactions. And the vast majority of what I do on this channel is in the category of horror. But anyway, like I said, I was looking forward to this show, and about half of an hour, maybe even 20 minutes into the first episode, I was dreading finishing that episode. And then watching episode 2 was almost torture for me, I'm not gonna lie. This show is just so generic in so many ways. The vast majority of the main characters in this show are high schoolers. The show takes place in a high school, and they're dealing with very stereotypical high school problems. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Of course it's not. This show does have a target demographic. There's nothing wrong with writing stories about high schoolers dealing with high school things. But again, when you write a story, when you write a screenplay, when you write a script or whatever, it's not what it's about, it's how it's about it. And you can do these very stereotypical stories, but you can still do it well. Just look at Stranger Things or the It movies. But this show is just the most generic version of that. You can tell that this dialogue, these plot points were written by people that haven't been in high school in 20 to 30 years. And I'm not saying that the Goosebumps books were the most realistic, most believable, most engaging things ever, nor was the Goosebumps TV show from the 90s, but what those had was a charm to it, and this show does not have any charm to it at all. And one of the biggest flaws with this TV show, in my opinion, is the visuals. The direction just doesn't match what Goosebumps should be. It's very sterile. A lot of blue and gray hues to it, a lot of slight shaky cam. Honestly, the direction of this movie kind of reminded me of the direction of the first Twilight movie. And it kind of matches in a way what this show is going for tonally, but the tone that it's going for isn't the tone that a Goosebumps series should have. It's taking itself far too seriously. And not only is it generic and cliche, the storytelling in that regard, but also, get this, there's a group of parents in the town, and they know the secret. They know the backstory. They know the lore of the town, which is, causing the paranormal things to happen. Even more generic. But don't get me wrong, this show isn't the worst thing ever. The performances are solid. The performances are doing what they need to do. Honestly, the characters, no matter how generic they are, they do sort of elevate the source material a little bit. And of course, Justin Long is in it, and I'm a huge Justin Long fan. Obviously, I love him in Jeepers Creepers. Him in Barbarian is really, really good. And obviously, you would have guessed it, he is the best part of this show. Every time that he's on screen, I'm enjoying it because it's Justin Long. But unfortunately, in the first 2 episodes, he's very underutilized. He's not used nearly as much as he should be. Though in the second episode, they do give you sort of hints that he's going to become a bigger focus moving forward. And I will say that overall, I did enjoy the second episode more than the first one, because the first episode had to do all the world building, setting up the characters and their dynamics in a very, again, boring and generic way. But the second episode was able to lean a little bit more into the silliness and the craziness. So hopefully, if we're lucky, each episode will get weird weirder and wackier and more Goosebumps-like, but it's just, in my opinion, this show is doing everything it shouldn't have been doing. It really should have done the opposite. I only watched it once, but I really, really enjoyed the Jack Black Goosebumps movie. I only saw the first one. I never watched the second one. I wish it was a little bit more like that in terms of tone, and especially in terms of color palette. Again, this show is just so sterile and blue and gray and depressing to look at. But who knows? I will say that despite everything I said, it could get better. It probably will get better because, again, I have a feeling each episode is going to push the weirdness, the paranormal, the supernatural, the weirdness even further, and that's what I want when I watch a Goosebumps thing. But anyway, there's my brief and quick thoughts on the first 2 episodes of the new Goosebumps show for Disney+. Have you watched it? What did you think about it in the comments? Let me know. Do you agree with what I've said, or do you completely disagree with me? Do you love the show? If you do, let me know why. Once again, consider subscribing, and thank you for watching, especially if you watched this far.